Hello everyone and welcome to this new video tutorial for X-FMC version 2. A lot of you guys have been asking for it, so I'm just going to make a new review for this new version of X-FMC. Actually, it's been out for quite a while, but I finally decided myself to make a new tutorial for this version 2 as quite a lot of features have changed since version 1. And the old videos were getting quite old actually, so I decided to update them with a new series of videos for this new version. So let's review the new interface. So most of you have seen that version 1 is from version 1.5 to version 2. Quite a lot of things have changed actually, and so we're just going to review that. Let's first review the folder organization first. Yeah. Here we are in the explain folder. I'm actually running under Windows 8, 64 bits. So here we are in the resources plugin, and as you see, you should have two execute plugin for XFMC, for one for version 32 bits and the other one for 64 bits. And depending on what exactly you require, here is for the ones for Windows, but it might look differently for Linux and Mac. So let's review what's inside the XFMC folders, because most of you don't know exactly where to place the Navigraph file that you need to purchase from Navigraph. And actually you need two datasets to make XFMC running correctly. What you need to understand is that we cannot provide accurate data as well as explain the default file that you find in explain for the data. The navigation data is not that accurate. Most of users try to update those when they can, but it clearly lacks fixed points and most of the information that you require to run a flight plan smoothly, and as well as the airways, the seats, the stars, and all those procedures are not included in explain. So that's clear a lack that we need to overcome by using those files. So the big change that we've made is that the data that we're using before was not accurate enough in terms of terminal procedures, and so we had to change it by using a new dataset that is called KLN90B, where you will find it actually under the Navigraph subscription. So you will need those two datasets, the KLN19B and also the Raviel roll-on or the VAS-FMC native set that you can also find on Navigraph. And you'll need to extract, so the whole folder, well, you get like two zip files, and the first KLN90B will be organized as follows. I think, as I remember, you need to dig a bit closer inside the zip file from KLN90B in order to extract these architectures like this. So you get like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 text files and the two main folders, seeds and stars, from the KLN90B. The other two folders we need from Raviolo Rollon dataset or VAS-FMC dataset. Those are the same structure actually, in the same dataset that are being used for Raviolo Rollon or VAS-FMC. So you will need to extract those two folders that are included in the zip from this dataset, which are called seed and star. So you will see you got a whole bunch of text files from the seed and star. Unfortunately, we could not really rely, because of the lack of time that we had to develop the version 2. We still had to rely on two different datasets for the seed stars and the terminal procedure. So we'll try to make it easier in probably the next release, but that does imply that we need to work out stuff with Navigraph or whatever data provider we can have. So anyway, now you've seen the structure, and also one thing you need to find is that, like when you go into aircraft, Let me review the one I'm having for the 747. You've got this configuration file that needs to be created, or you can download it from either X-FMC or either another user that has been created, that has created this file, or even some dataset are including this feature. So basically you need to review what exactly you need, if you have the configuration file, if you don't have it, and if you don't have it, in this case you probably need to create it or to download it from somewhere else. Well, anyway, there is no start the review of XFMC itself. Alright, I'm just putting that back, and we've got like the FMC here that is running up, and you can show it or hide it by hitting the F9 key on your keyboard. And so basically that shows you this interface. Probably if you have, like, it's the first startup, since this is not my first startup of the FMC here, there should be like a line showing up that the aircraft configuration has been loaded. So I'm just going to click on the FMC here. Okay, model loaded. This is the line that you should get on first release, on the first start. You can see here what data set I'm using. Actually, this one is outdated, but don't matter anyway. Well, see, I'm running version 2.05, which might come a bit later for you guys. But anyway, let's start. Where I'm going to run up a few things to show you the features. So we are at Lyon Saint-Exupéry Airport. So this is Lima Foxtrot Lima Lima. So this is the reference of the airport. And so we're going to enter the flight plan. I think I have a flight plan already ready for this flight. So I'm just going to hit Foxtrot Lima Lima, Lima Foxtrot Papa Gamma, Golf, sorry. Yep. So I have a preset flight plan that I have made myself in FPL file. You can see how to create a FPL file in the in the manual actually. And you just need to insert this file in the right folder from X-FMC, and you'll be able to use this file as is without having to enter manually the airways and the point. So I'm going just to execute it, and that's it. So you see it's pretty much simple flight plan where you going the first nav point that is Mokip, then we've got like we've got the airway. And then we have a VOR, which is Delta Juliet Lima, which is Dijon in France, and that's going to be the last point of our flight plan. Actually, Mokip is the last point of the SID, and Dijon will be the first point of the star. As usual, the flight plans are a bit like that, but I will not go over it today because this is not the purpose of this tutorial. You will find plenty of interesting things on the web that will explain you how to build a flight plan anyway. So yeah, we're going to go in the performance page now. We've got the flight plan built. I'm just going to hit the ground weight. Load. So you see it's reducing because the plane is running, so it's using fuel actually. I'm just going to hit 280, which is the flight level that I'm going to achieve in this flight plan. I'm going to take 5,000 extra for the aircraft. Actually, this is not in kilograms, this is in pounds. So basically I'm just going to enter a cost index. This is working but not fully implemented. Well, the lower the cost index is, the more I think the higher the cost index is, the more performance you get from the aircraft. Alright, I'm just going to pass this one as I'm not willing to reduce my takeoff or climb setting.
Takeoff data.
flex well is working, but this is like this is not standard flex. It must be calculated for each aircraft, which we have not implemented yet. So this is quite generic, and this is not something you can play with it actually, but you will see like playing with it will reduce the takeoff thrust in terms of percentage thrust, and well, just play with it and you'll see that the percentage will be reduced. I'm going to have 10% of flaps, 10 degrees sorry of flaps, and so it gives me the information that I have on the aircraft and on the runway. Condition dry, as you can see. It's quite a nice day actually. Wind, alright, 11.2 degrees for 7 knots. So we are in the good on the good path, because we are taking off from runway 36 left. Alright, so we just have to confirm the reference speeds for the takeoff.
Checklist complete.
And the pre-flight is complete. So here we've finished preparing our flight plan and in the performance for the aircraft for the takeoff. So what's going to happen next? We are going to set a few things in the VNAV page as for the transition altitude. If you look at the charts, the transition altitude, so basically the transition between the actual airport QNH and the standard QNH will be set passing 5,000 feet. So basically, once I've reached 5,000, I'll stick to the standard barometric pressure, which is 2992 in US, and in France, in Europe, sorry, it's like 1013. Alright, so I'm just going to go to the next page. It's not used yet, we don't have anything to enter in the cruise page for now, and descent page will come later. So let's go to the departure and arrival. Departure, so we are taking off from runway 36 left. You'll see, might be some of you will not see those runway, or when they hit the runway they won't see any seat stars. Please, in this case, check that the information you've got in the Navigraph files for the airport and the airport are matching. I mean, if the airport is not updated, and like it used to be 35 and now it's 36, and like in Navigraph it's 36 but in X-Plane it's 35, in this case X-FMC will not be able to match the procedures because you won't find the runway. So here I'm taking runway 36, it says selected, I'm just going to hit execute. So now it's active, and now it's active. I'm just going to take the right SID procedure. So here it's all the list that you can set with previews the next page, and you remember that the first point was going to be Mokip. And so the procedure you will find in the chart will be Mokip for November. So I'm just going to select this one, and now it's active since I've executed the SID. Okay, so now we see the SID in the flight plan. So you see we have 2 waypoints added in front of Mokip, and it's a bit early, but never mind, it's just for this demonstration here. I'm just going to show you the information, well, the arrival procedure for Charles de Gaulle. So, well, I don't have checked the weather there, but basically we're going to have a landing on runway let's take 26 right. All right, so we're getting from all right, so Dijon, so it will be Dijon 6 whiskey. Okay, and I think this is Okipa 1 Whiskey Arrival. And we'll take the ILS procedure. There are different ways to land on the airfield, and you can set either an instrument procedure or a full instrument landing system, which is the ILS. And I'm just going to be lazy and take the ILS. Alright, so now you see I've got the waypoints added up to Charles de Gaulle. Basically, we've got my flight plan that is set from the start to the end, and now I'm just, I could just start and take off the aircraft, but I'm just going to show you the other nav page. Well, the other FMC page, sorry. Alright, so you can set here you can check the speed, you can modify it, but actually it will cancel the flight, you remember that we've set in performance page the cost index, and it's just going to remove this cost index because you will be modifying the speed, so we'll just cancel the cost index and take your own speed as the one you entered in the FMC. You can also change the speed in transition here if this is not matching the settings that you require for the country where you are departing or arriving. This is what you had in version 1 is that we had to implement a waypoint inside the flight plan, which was the top of climb, but now it's not the case anymore. We're just now setting the we're just reminding you in this page what's your distance, what's the remaining distance until the top of climb, or you'll see the other one in top of descent. So here I'm like 48 nautical miles from the top of climb, and this will be updated during your climb depending on your thrust settings and the wind conditions that you're having. So it will be slightly different depending on in the climb phase. Might move a bit actually. Alright, so you see the cruise page. Here you can change the cruise altitude, as well you can change the speed, and the rest you can also take the step size. So step size, it's a bit quite complex because you have the optimal, you when you're doing like long trips, depending on your weight, you have optimal flight levels that you can reach depending on your weight, and so you have like to work a bit on the configuration file to give the information to X-FMC to tell what's the optimum level at which weight that the aircraft should take. And once you have like set a cruise altitude, for example at flight level 410, for example, but you cannot achieve it because you have too much weight on the beginning of your flight. So the XFMC will like take this information and will propose to have a step climb. I mean, the first flight level that it will set will be, for example, 340, and then it will increase the flight level as you are losing weight. So, and you decide about the step size. So you can decide about 2,000 feet step climb. So the XFMC will reach the optimal cruise level by steps of 2,000 feet each time. So you just have to review that. You also have the ETA fuel, so estimate time of arrival, fuel that's it's remaining, and for the descent page, you have the remaining distance to the top of descent, the flight level your cruise is at, so the flight level that you will start the descent. You can set here the speed transition again, and the transition altitude, as well as the QNH. You can set it for the descent once you have the information from the airport or from the charts. Then a few other pages, like the old is not changed from version 1, so I'm not going to review that. You just have to enter the basic information you have from the charts. If it's like a 1 minute holding pattern, if it's a right or left turn, what speed you want to maintain, at what altitude, extra. So just read the manual for that. Those few actions here, well, you just have to read the manual if you want to use them. And the other page are quite the same actually, so I'm not going to show much on those ones. Those actually have not changed. The only thing that I've changed is that usually you need to enter like menu or init to get the additional information or options that you can set into X-FMC, but some auto functions or whatever have changed, because now you can select or deselect LNAV management or VNAV management from the FMC directly. So the thing that I've changed a lot since version 1 is that now you have to set manually the level that you want to achieve yourself. I mean, X-FMC will not change the altitude except if you have like altitude restriction, and in this case it will temporarily change the altitude settings, and then once the restriction has been passed, it will reset to the former value that you entered. But this is just a purpose for us to maintain from Explain Autopilot the altitude of the restriction, and this is just because of a restriction that we're having in Explain Autopilot, and we don't really want to maintain manually. I mean, from within the FMC the altitude ourselves, so we decided to do it through the Explain Autopilot. Then you will see the prediction of speed and altitude, as well as the restriction that you're having. In big fonts you get like here it's that we have to be like at 16,000 feet above. This is a restriction we're having at this waypoint, and the other one is like will be like 20,000 feet above, and like this one is 16,000 below. So you see there you get all the restriction as well as the one for the speed. So you see that the speed is in large fonts, just because we are having a speed restriction on this point. X-FMC, as long as it manages the VNAV, will take care of the speed for you, but nevertheless you must also check that X-FMC is working correctly with the speed. So the FMC is here to help you, but don't forget that you are the pilot and you need to check the values and make sure that everything is accurate, because if you're flying online and X-FMC for whatever reason is not behaving properly, in this case you will need to change it on your side. Anyway, those are the main features that I wanted to show. I guess I've been around almost everything. Except that you can use this FMC also for the X737, although we have to raise a warning that you have to use that as experienced flyer, because there are some features that we have not fully implemented, or that the X737 is not working correctly actually with our FMC. We are working with the developer of the X737 to correct those few things, but anyway, it's not working properly, so you have to do some stuff manually that the X-FMC cannot do. As well as the arrival phase. I mean, once you've reached the ILS from the runway, disconnect the FMC, or you can even change it from the I would rather disconnect the FMC on the approach phase once you have like before the last turn, before the ILS, so you can set the settings manually. You can go to the navrat page where you have set the ILS information here. You just have to click this and it will set automatically the nav1, nav2 on the correct settings for the ILS, as well as the course and the frequency, of course. So yes, I think I've been pretty much all covering all the major changes of XFMC. Also, you will see in the manual that you can change like the colors of the text here. Here I chose to set it in blue, but you can set like 3 or 4 different colors that are hard-coded in the plugin, so you just need to change whatever in the main configuration file that you find in a plugin XFMC folder. You see there is a configuration file that you can modify with your favorite text editor, and just review the manual for this one. And if you have anything that you don't see in the manual or that you don't understand in the manual, feel free to post something in our forums. We are not responding to any kind of support by email because we've been like pretty much clear on that. If you've got an issue, share it with the other users, because some other guys might have the same problem as you and might require some help. And the post that you'll get in the forums might help some other people actually. So I'm just asking you to kindly enter any kind of request, except partnerships or whatever. But for any support requests or bug reports, we have dedicated interfaces. So for any kind of discussion, go through the forum. But any kind of bugs that you discovered or feature requests, go through our bug interface, feature interface that we have also that is reachable from the main site. So I guess you enjoyed this video. I hope that you really enjoyed this video, and stay tuned for another one. Shortly I try to make a flight just to show you how it behaves in flight, and well, just show you how to use the FMC in flight. Alright, see you next time, and have safe flights. Bye.